Mike Carona was elected as the sheriff of Orange County, California in 1998. He was known for his reformist approach and tough stance on criminals, which earned him a favorable reputation among the community. Conversely, his standing was tarnished in 2007 when he faced legal action for allegedly engaging in acts of public corruption. The accusations leveled against Carona pertained to his alleged exploitation of his role as sheriff for personal gain, and that he had allegedly been involved in a consistent pattern of illicit conduct spanning multiple years. Carona was alleged to have received bribes, gifts, and other forms of illicit payments in return for political favors. The assertions regarding Don Heidel, a prosperous entrepreneur, garnered the highest level of scrutiny. According to the prosecutors, Carona allegedly engaged in solicitation of bribes from Heidel, offering political advantages in return. These advantages included the appointment of Heidel's son to a prominent law enforcement position and were allegedly provided in exchange for political favors. Carona has been accused of accepting bribes and misusing his authority to impede an investigation into the unlawful activities of Heidel. There were suspicions that Carona had received unauthorized payments from various sources, including the owner of a strip club in the area and a company that provided medical services to the county jail's inmates. According to the prosecutors, Carona was accused of exploiting his position to grant profitable contracts to specific individuals in return for favors. Initially, Carona declined to acknowledge the allegations leveled against him and maintain his innocence. The individuals stated that their error was solely a result of poor judgment and refuted any involvement in unlawful actions. However, as the legal proceedings advanced, it became apparent that the evidence was overwhelmingly against him, indicating a biased outcome. Throughout the trial proceedings, the prosecution team presented a substantial amount of evidence that showcased Carona's extensive track record of participating in illicit activities. The prosecution presented recorded conversations between Carona and Heidel discussing their illegal activities and called upon multiple witnesses to testify regarding Carona's alleged participation in various fraudulent schemes. Deborah Hoffman, who was previously involved with Carona, served as a crucial witness in the case. According to Hoffman, Carona allegedly engaged in sexual relationships with multiple women, including herself, during his time as an assistant sheriff, abusing his position of authority. Additionally, she alleged that Carona had employed his position of power to coerce and suppress individuals who posed a risk of revealing his wrongdoings. Another witness who provided testimony was George Jaramillo, a former assistant who had worked for Carona in the past. Mr. Jaramillo had previously been convicted of public corruption and was presently serving a prison sentence. However, in return for a reduction in sentence, he offered to testify against Mr. Carona and provide evidence against him. Jaramillo's testimony was highly critical of Carona's alleged participation in various unlawful activities, such as tampering with witnesses and obstructing justice. Mr. Carona consistently asserted his innocence throughout the legal proceedings. However, the evidence presented against him was overwhelmingly against him, therefore convicting him. A verdict was issued, mandating him to remit a sum of $125,000 as penalty and also serve a 66-month term in a federal penitentiary. The conviction of Mr. Carona represented a notable setback for the sheriff's department in Orange County, which had been involved in a prolonged period of scandal. Furthermore, it shed light on the hazards linked with public corruption in law enforcement and other governmental entities, underscoring the significance of enhanced transparency and responsibility within such organizations. Numerous initiatives have been implemented to restructure the department subsequent to his conviction. As a part of these endeavors, enhanced monitoring, heightened transparency, and reinforced ethical policies have been instituted. Nevertheless, the impact of the Carona case continues to be experienced in Orange County and its surrounding areas. This reminds us that no matter how influential you deem yourself to be, the justice always prevails in the long run. The aforementioned event has resulted in demands for heightened accountability and transparency in law enforcement, prompting increased scrutiny of policing agencies throughout the United States. During this same period, they finally realized the need for greater diversity within the organizations tasked with maintaining law and order. Many individuals hold the belief that augmenting the number of minority officers and cultivating a diverse and inclusive culture within law enforcement agencies can potentially reduce incidents of police brutality and misconduct. The investigation into Carona has had a significant impact on Orange County Sheriff's Department in addition to its broader activities. The department promptly implemented various measures to strengthen its oversight mechanisms and reinforce its ethical standards. The reforms encompass the establishment of an autonomous ethics commission to probe allegations of misconduct, alongside the implementation of a whistleblower hotline aimed at encouraging personnel to report illegal or unethical conduct. Furthermore, the commission has been granted the jurisdiction to examine claims of sexual harassment. Notwithstanding the aforementioned efforts, the department still has a considerable path to guarantee the integrity of its staff. Regrettably, the recent controversies surrounding the department have not been beneficial in any way. The department continues to face challenges related to racial profiling and excessive use of force. These incidents have garnered significant media coverage. In light of these occurrences, it is imperative to uphold a heightened level of vigilance in combating corruption and inappropriate conduct within law enforcement organizations across all tiers. After being convicted in 2009, Mike Carona received a sentence that resulted in his incarceration in a federal prison for a period of 66 months. Nevertheless, his legal issues remain unresolved. In 2011, a federal appeals court overturned Carona's conviction on the charge of witness tampering. However, the court upheld Carona's conviction on the remaining charges, for which he was found guilty. The appellate court determined that the evidence presented against Mr. Carona was inadequate to support his convictions for conspiracy and fraud. Following the decision of the appeals court, Carona was released and permitted to return to Orange County. Despite the charges against him, he did not waver from his stance and continued to maintain his innocence. Nevertheless, he persisted as a polarizing figure, and his conviction had enduring impacts on both the sheriff's departments and law enforcement agencies across the nation. Later, numerous corruption cases involving law enforcement personnel were exposed, including the conviction of 8 officers from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department in 2011 for conspiracy and obstruction of justice. The widespread occurrence of these scandals raises legitimate concerns regarding the integrity of law enforcement agencies. Many experts on the matter suggest that the presence of corruption and misconduct within law enforcement institutions can raise doubts about the credibility of the justice system. Multiple departments have implemented and elevated utilization of body cameras and other forms of video surveillance to document the interactions between law enforcement and civilians. Several entities have instituted autonomous oversight committees with the objective of scrutinizing accusations of inappropriate conduct by law enforcement. However, despite concerted efforts, law enforcement agencies across the nation persist in encountering significant challenges in the shape of police corruption and misconduct. In recent times, instances of police brutality and racial profiling have incited substantial demonstrations and demands for reformation. The case of Mike Carona's conviction serves as a warning about the dangers of public corruption and highlights the importance of implementing robust ethical policies and oversight mechanisms within law enforcement organizations. The statement underscores the importance of transparency, responsibility, and adherence to legal principles in preserving the credibility of our establishments. In summary, the narrative of Mike Carona serves as a significant reminder of the potential hazards linked to public corruption in law enforcement and other governmental establishments. It emphasizes the need for ongoing initiatives aimed at enhancing and improving law enforcement mechanisms across the U.S. Ultimately, the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic will have long-lasting effects for years to come.